Hey guys, welcome to my new movie collections update video for the month of February of 2014. So I'm making this video. Actually, I recorded this video earlier, but ended up having a bit of a computer accident in terms of I accidentally deleted the original file, which was dumb of me. I don't know how the hell it happened, but you know what? Doesn't matter. So I'm re-recording this again. Probably end up coming out better than my original version anyway. So, well, again, I'm glad you guys are joining me. I don't have a huge selection of movies to show you this time. I only got to see, just a handful over the last month or so. But they're actually really good films. I really like this bunch that I have here to show you, right, guys? So we're going to start off today actually with the film Blue Jasmine with Cate Blanchett. And I have to say, this movie just was completely amazing. I was enamored basically with Cate Blanchett's performance of her character. Just to give you a quick synopsis, the story behind this film is that Cate Blanchett plays a wealthy New York socialite who is married to Alec Baldwin's character, and Alec Baldwin's character is actually involved in investing money in starting businesses and things like that. And what happens is that he pretty much ends up stealing and investing a lot of other people's money, including Cate Blanchett's money, and he loses everything, including her money. So, because it's part of he's involved kind of like in a scam with a lot of people's money, so he gets sent to jail because of that activity, and of course Cate Blanchett gets left with nothing. So she kind of suffers from a severe mental breakdown, and at the start of the film, basically we find Cate Blanchett moving over to LA to live with her sister, and the whole story basically revolves around her trying to figure out how she's going to manage and get herself back on her 2 feet, knowing that now she doesn't have all the luxuries that she had when she was rich. So now she has to live, in her sister's apartment with her boyfriend and her sister's 2 sons, and she's just trying to figure out what to do. She's just trying to find herself all over again. So that's pretty much the basic synopsis of the film. But the most amazing thing about it is just the performance. I was completely mesmerized by, and captivated by, Cate, Blanchett really playing this character so close, that it felt so realistic, that I believed, that she was, this person that, is struggling to kind of get back on her 2 feet, and there's funny moments where, her character spends a lot of time actually reminiscing about all the good times that she had while she was rich living in New York. in New York. So she keeps telling people her stories, and people are kind of like weirded out by her because it really looks like she's actually talking to herself, well, she thinks that they're actually listening to her or actually maybe even having a conversation with her. But again, it's an amazing film. It's something that I would definitely recommend. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. If you have, it's worth another look. I love this movie so much. I love Cate Blanchett's, and her performance here as the title character. So definitely I say, watch this one, guys. Check it out if you haven't done so. The next film that I have to show you is Tom Hanks and Captain Phillips. Another great film. It's based on a true story. The synopsis basically is Tom Hanks plays a captain of a freighter ship that delivers cargoes and other goods to different parts of the world. And for this particular film, he's navigating his ship along the coast of Africa. And that particular area is actually known for a lot of pirate activity. So there's a lot of pirates that are venturing out into the open waters, trying to hijack and seize a lot of boats and to steal their goods to sell onto the black market, in the surrounding areas. So Tom Hanks's ship and his crew pretty much are captured by a group of pirates. So the whole movie is basically showing us what his character does to try to protect his crew, at the same time trying to trick the pirates into thinking that there's really nothing on board the ship, that there's no goods that they can take. And what happens is that Tom Hanks' character actually gets kidnapped by the pirates. So the whole movie basically revolves around just what happens, what really did happen in the true life events of this particular situation. And again, great performance by Tom Hanks. I was never really let down by any movie that I've ever seen Tom Hanks, participate in. And this one is no less. I really enjoyed the performance. Everything was just building up to a climax, especially towards the end. The end really got to me. it was so emotionally charged. It was always like this rising climax with things that were happening, and by the end, it just felt like everything kind of just spilled over. There's this raw emotion that comes out of Tom Hanks towards the end, and it really got to me that I felt a little teary-eyed also by the end of it. But again, it's just an amazing performance by Tom Hanks, an amazing film, so much that happened. So definitely, I say check out Captain Phillips if you haven't done so already, because it's an amazing film, something worth watching. The next film that I have to show you is a remake of the 1970s Stephen King film Carrie, and this one actually is a remake that stars Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore. And I have to say that this movie, it plays homage to the original film very nicely. Like it almost feels like it follows the same type of pacing and build up that the original film had as well. Of course, with the use of modern film and things like that and better special effects, just to add to the overall level of just the intense factor of the Carrie character. But again, the performances basically is what really shined for me. Chloe Grace Moretz, did an amazing job playing Carrie, and I was just, it's just intrigued, just how pretty much she's come a long way, because I still just remember her being the little foul-mouthed girl in Kick-Ass, and here she is now. She's older, she's doing roles like this, and she's coming her own, so she's definitely someone to look out for. But then by the same example, well, not maybe not the same example, but by the same performance quality, Julianne Moore actually did an amazing job playing her mother, because she really captured the creepiness factor, the craziness, the religious fanaticism that Carrie's mother exhibited in the first film. And I think she actually does more in this particular film. And again, it was a great film. I mean, it really almost follows the storyline and sequence of events of the original film in this one. Although there may be a couple of sequences that might be new for this remake, because I just don't recall them from the original. But then again, I've seen the original so long ago that I don't remember everything. So maybe everything is pretty much the same as the original film. Although definitely I think the ending was changed, because there's an alternate ending in this film that is definitely different from the original film. But overall, I really enjoyed this film a lot. I really liked the performances from both these actresses. They're really top in this film. So definitely, I say check it out if you haven't done so already. Check out Carrie. The next film that I have to show you is Christian Bale in Equilibrium. And this film, I saw it, many years ago when I had it, when I got to borrow it from a friend, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the premise behind it, which is basically simply this: it's the story is about a quote unquote utopian society where everyone basically is rid of emotions, so that way the society can live, without the threat of violence of any kind, because emotions have been removed from the equation in terms of, just human capability. And Christian Bale plays this character who's kind of like a law enforcement. I mean, they're called, what are they called? I forgot what, because they have a specific name. I don't even know if it's listed here. I had it before and I can't remember it. I can't remember what they're called, but he kind of plays like this somewhat law enforcement type character that's part of this group that goes out into society, and they make sure that everyone is abiding by these rules of not exhibiting any emotion. They're kind of like they go in there, and any form of artwork, music, anything that represents freedom of emotion or display of emotion is pretty much taken into custody by them and is destroyed. And any person that starts exhibiting signs of developing emotions is pretty much taken into custody and dealt with later. And what happens is that Christian Bale's character starts to exhibit emotions, because part of the whole process of eliminating the emotions is every person, every citizen in this society has to take injections that kind of it's kind of like a drug which prevents those emotions from appearing. And what happens is that Christian Bale at one moment forgets to take his, and he begins to feel and show signs of emotion, but it opens his eyes to what life is really like, and humanity, what it's actually really capable of once you have this sensory factor put back in place. And his mind is completely overwhelmed with how much he's actually been um, negated, or hidden away from it when his emotions are put back in place. So basically, the whole film is just him exploring that and just trying to figure out what to do and working together with an underground force that's trying to bring down this utopia, which is actually more of a dystopia because everyone is pretty much blinded from their true selves because their emotions are taken away from them. So it's a really great film. Very interesting message in terms of how society can be viewed in one way, which is basically kind of just preventing people from being a certain way, and then how if you just try to remove that veil from their eyes, they can see reality for what it really is. So it's really cool. And the other cool factors about this is that uh, the law enforcement group that Christian Bale belongs to actually uses a very interesting martial art, which is a gun kata, which is kind of like a samurai version, or using samurai techniques, but instead of using actual swords, they use guns, even though they do use swords too. But it's really cool. It's really cool. I definitely say check it out if you haven't done so. I mean, it's a great little sci-fi flick, and if you have, like I always say, it's definitely worth another look. The next film that I have to show you is this film called In a World, which is basically kind of like a look into the world of voice acting. And it's about this character who's the daughter of a famous Hollywood voice actor. It's not Don LaFontaine. He's like the most recognized, famous voice actor in the world. He does, all those commercials or trailers that you ever heard that began with "In a World." So he's the number one. But in this particular film, she's the daughter of the number two most famous Hollywood voice actor. And so basically the movie is about, this character played by Lake Bell, and how she's trying to make her mark, and find her place in the voice acting world. She has lots of gigs, so she has lots of credits under her name. But the real problem that she has is basically trying to get recognition from her father, because her father is, like I said before, he is the most, world-renowned, voice actor in Hollywood. So, she's having a hard time trying to get her father to acknowledge that she works in this business and that she's a very talented voice actor, but he doesn't do so. He does acknowledge that she works in it, but he doesn't give her enough credit, in terms of what she has accomplished and the talent that she really has. So basically, the story kind of builds up into this, what ends up turning into a head-on kind of collision or competition between her and her father as they're trying to compete, to be the number one voice actor for a particular role for a set of films that are going to be coming out. And it's really interesting just to see the father-daughter dynamic of how, the two of them are competing against each other, and it's like I said before, it's a really nice look into, even from just, a small scope of the voice acting world in Hollywood, and how things are done and things like that. And what I really enjoyed about it is that it was well written. Lake Bell, who plays the title, lead character, wrote the film and she directed it also. And I have to say that it was really, really well written. I like the story. I like the performances by all the actors in here. So definitely, I'd say check out, In a World if you haven't done so. It's definitely worth a look. And the last film that I have to show you is a bit of a classic that comes out of the 80s. Kind of a horror. Yeah, it's a horror film, but kind of like a campy horror film. And it actually comes from Scream Factory. And I just want to take a moment to kind of say that I really appreciate that Scream Factory is actually, putting a lot of the old classic horror films that came out during the 80s, because it's giving me an opportunity to actually, be able to pick up these films and see them again. Because some of these films that they're releasing are things that I've seen way back when during the 80s that I really enjoyed, and I wish I can have another chance to see them again. Or there were movies that I never even heard of before or didn't even know they existed that are being put out, and they're actually, they have a decent following behind them. And I'm glad that they're actually taking the time to, convert these over to Blu-ray and present them in, good quality with nice audio commentary and behind the scenes stuff. So I'm glad they're doing this. And the film that I picked up recently from them is Night of the Comet. And I have to say that I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It was great seeing it again. I haven't seen it in, I don't know, over 15 years, I think was the last time I saw this film, because they were giving it on cable. And I really liked it. And the story basically is about these two sisters that kind of survive an apocalypse where a comet kind of passed over the earth and turned everyone that was out in the open into dust. and they survived because they actually stayed indoors when the event happened. And it's basically about them emerging from where they are, finding each other, and then just trying to deal with the situation, trying to figure out what happened, trying to find out if there are other survivors left around, roaming around. And they do find, another survivor, by this other character that kind of comes in and he kind of joins their little group, and they venture on from there. But they also find that there are other kind of like mutated survivors that have kind of become deranged because they didn't die away right away, but their brains have kind of been deformed because of the radiation from the comet that pretty much turned everybody else to dust. So they kind of have to run away from those pseudo zombies that exist. And there are also scientists that are trying to find ways to preserve what's left of humanity, and they have to come into contact with them. So it's a really nice mixture of things that happen in this film, but overall it's really a lot of fun. Lots of nice, interesting, moments that are, very, heartfelt and also very funny. But again, it was just a great film. And I'm glad that, they actually, Scream Factory released it, and I was able to pick it up. And what was funny about that too is that, I actually went to FYE, the only one out of two that actually still exists in the New York area. And I went there, just to go look at films to see if there was anything worth to pick up. And I didn't in the least expect to find this there. And when I did, I said, "There's no way that I'm leaving this store without, buying this and taking it home with me." And I'm glad that I went there that day when I did, and I found it and I took it with me. So it was really a great find. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I definitely say, for those of you that have been collecting a lot of the movies that have come out from Scream Factory, this is definitely another one to add to your collection. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend you guys watch it as well, because it's really a lot of fun. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I have, for this particular movie collections update video. Like I said, wasn't a really huge selection, but there were really not a lot of nice, really well done, great stories in terms of films that I collected this time around. I think this is one of the few times where pretty much just about every film that I had to show you in one video, I really enjoyed a lot. So I'm really glad for that. So as always, guys, like my video if you like what I had to say about these films. Subscribe to my channel so you can stay in tune with what I'm doing, what I'm going to come out with next. Follow me on Twitter. As a matter of fact, I might be working on a couple of short little film projects during the coming month. I don't know when I'm going to release them, but I'll definitely keep you guys up to date here on my channel as I keep, tackling each one of those projects one by one. And as always, guys, just stay safe, keep watching films, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one. All right, guys? Take care.